hello, and welcome to this episode of Amplify Your Brilliance Monday. So, this is a time where I give you the tools to grow your faith as you really activate your purpose into a revenue generating business. And so I'm so excited to be here with you. So as you come in now, first, tell me if this is your first time, but also share with me name and where you're joining from. So you'll always see me look here for my comments, right? Because I want to make sure I can see your comments as you're coming in. So I want you to share if something resonates with you. I want you to share if you have questions from what I give you. And if I step on your toes too, I want you to share. So, with that, I'm beyond excited to talk to you today from the topic Ask for Directions. So, we've been in this conversation since episode 6. This is now episode 9. And so, I want to encourage you, hey, Dima in Brockton, I want to encourage you, if you missed any of those episodes, to go back because we're going to build on what I shared in episode 6, 7, and 8. And so, the thing that I think is so interesting, when I first moved here, I live in Boston. Hey, Renarda and Brooklyn in the house. Excited to see y'all here tonight. So, I have been living here in Boston for 16 years. About 16 or so, give or take. And the thing that is so absolutely interesting when I first moved here is there was no GPS, or GPSs were just coming out. Hey, Nona. I appreciate you, girl. Look, I was having a bad hair day, y'all, so I had to put my hair up. Nona said, love your hair. I appreciate you. So listen, yeah, do you guys remember MapQuest? And you'd have to print out the whole direction and you'd be driving and trying to look at the direction. And here's what I know about living in Massachusetts. There are always two center streets in every city. There are two main streets. And so I was always lost. And I remember, like, my husband is my absolute best friend. We never have an argument until we're in the car because he would argue with the MapQuest directions instead of pulling over and doing what? Asking for directions, right? And so oftentimes we'd be lost because we'd be on the wrong main street. And look, we'd be on the wrong center street, CENTRE street, right? And even sometimes we would ask for directions and they'd say things like, go to the fire station. It's like, where's the fire station? Turn left. And then I couldn't find a fire station. So one of the things that blessed me the most is when we finally got a GPS, right? And some of y'all forgot about MapQuest, right? That's what Renata just said. Renata just said, I forgot about MapQuest, right? I mean, if you guys forgot all about MapQuest, because now we've gotten accustomed to GPS. But I want you to really understand and think about what a GPS is. It's, I believe, global planning system. And the thing that I think is so deep, and my husband and I were having this conversation. So my husband is a physicist, and so he gets into the science of things. And really what a GPS does, it's a global tracking system that is in alignment with a solar kind of thing in the sky. And I can, all of a sudden I'm having a senior mama, y'all. I can't think of the word that I know. Jesus, right? But anyway, it's a solar system in the sky that tells the GPS where it is. Therefore, it can help you get where it is. It has a tracking system, right? Isn't that deep? And so as I got to thinking about where we are in our journey, and we've talked about having a vision, we've talked about your thinking. When I talked about it's like a boomerang, right? Week 6, we talked about you need a script for the entire process because it's more than just having a vision or a vision board. Then week 7, I talked to you about it's like a boomerang, and we looked at how what you think about, you bring about. And then last week, I talked to you about having a plan. So I'm going to take that conversation up a whole step further because you need really a GPS. Now, I call GPS a God placement system, but it's even deeper than that because you can have it, but are you using it? So even though we have a GPS now, my husband still fights it. He'll tell the GPS you're wrong. It's like, really? You just told me that there's a whole system in the atmosphere and the clouds, and you're gonna fight it? Like, you know where you're going? We in some city we never been in before. Maybe you guys don't experience that, right? So, to give you context, I want to read to you a story in the Bible about a widow and Elisha. And this is a widow who her husband died and he left debt. And back then, if your husband left debt, obviously she's a widow, so her husband died. That's a given. But if your husband left debt, what they do was come get your kids to pay off the debt. I guess your kids would work for them and they would pay off the debt. And so the story happens in 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1 through 7. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to read the section I want for you to have context to our journey for today in our conversations. I'm only going to read verse 2 through 4. Again, it's 2 Kings chapter 4. I'm going to read 2 through 4. Okay. So Elisha said to her, so he's talking to the widow, "What shall I do for you?" Because she went to him saying, "I need your help." She went to him asking for direction. Hello, somebody. And she said to him, "Tell me, what do you, I mean, excuse me." He said to her, right. So Elisha said to her, "What shall I do for you? Tell me, what do you have in the house?" And she said back to him, "Your maid servant has nothing in the house but a jar of oil." Then he said, Elisha, "Go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few. And when you have come in, you shall shut the door behind you and your sons." And then he tells her what to do after that. Now, the thing that I think is so deep, and I'm going to break this down for you, right? So I talked to you about this in week 6. So the G of GPS is letting go of how. Now, again, go back and watch. The script is the key to the entire process. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes so I can stay focused, because you guys know I'm committed to be here for 30 minutes because y'all are busy. I'm going to give you actionable steps in 30 minutes, right? So you've got to let go of how. So many people get stuck on how. When God is calling you to do something you've never done before, you're not going to know how, because what you did to get where you are right now is not going to work in this new iteration. It's just not. And sometimes you won't start because you can't figure out how. When God doesn't work in your thinking, hello. So G is let go of how. This is where faith lives. Okay. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So if you're trying to see how, you ain't going to see it. By the way, that was Hebrews 11:1. I didn't write that. So one, you've got to let go. So that's the G of GPS. The P is get a plan. And we talked about that last week. But here's where I want to dig even further. See, the woman had been trying other things, obviously, because look, listen, you guys know, all of you guys that have debt, they don't come after you for some time. Oh, there's been times, back in the day when I had credit cards I couldn't pay, when I had charges stuff I had no business charging, or maybe all of y'all have been perfect your whole life and you've never done stuff and been in trouble. It takes a while for them to come after you. So obviously she had tried stuff and tried things and they didn't work. So she comes to Elisha for some coaching. "I need you to give me strategy." So the other thing I want you guys to get, even as I tell my husband's story, why do you have a GPS and you don't listen? Why would you have a coach and you don't listen? Or why are you trying to create strategy on your own self? One of my favorite quotes is, "The tools on this level and are sufficient for your next." So if you're trying to get here, the tools you use down here are not going to work. I don't care if you have a PhD. I don't care if you have a director in your title. I don't care how many years you spent in the industry you're in. If you're doing something different, you're going to need new tools. Yes. Right, Renata. Renata said the collectors come looking for you when you least expect it. Right. And so now she's nervous because she knows they're coming. They're going to steal her sons. She's like, I need help. I need help. So she goes to find a coach that can help her. Okay. So here's the 2 steps I'm going to add to what I've shared with you already. So again, go back and listen to week 6, where I talked to you about the script is the key to the entire process. We're talking about letting go. Even the boomerang, week 7, speaks to that. And I'm telling you guys this because it gives you ammunition. When you're growing a business, I talked about this with my clients last week. Yolanda, if you watch this replay, girl, I'm giving you a shout out, because Yolanda was like, "Oh my God, those 30 minutes helped me so much," because you're playing bigger than you've ever played before. And if you're not, then you're playing too small. So when God is requiring something extra of you, you got to put the extra with the ordinary. That's going to require an extra piece of you. Hello, somebody. And so that's why you got to let go. So that's week 6 and 7. Week 8, I talked about getting a plan. So that was last week. So go back, watch those episodes, y'all. By the way, you can watch past episodes. Let me put it up here. You can watch past episodes of any of these on my YouTube channel, nrjnetwork.com. Go, you can watch any of these episodes there. It actually, these stream live there as well, right? So with that said, going back to comments. Here's what I want you to get. So there's 2 more steps. So there's 2 more S's. I know GPS only has 1 S, but listen, I have the right to have creative freedom on my own little show I do. So I'm gonna give you 2 more S's. Okay. So here's what Elisha says back to her. "Tell me, what do you have in the house?" So he says to her, start with what you have. Here's the thing I think is so interesting. God is only coming for what's already in you. The problem is you haven't fully activated it. Mhm. Right. Renata said, listen, man, when I say where I'm going is the biggest move I've ever made, and it's not going to be the biggest move you ever make in your life. It may be the biggest move you've made to date, but God is always calling you to new levels. So I'm proud of you. And I bless us that I get to coach you in a couple of weeks. So those of you that need support, I'll tell you what that looks like toward the end of that because I don't want you to miss your blessing. But those of you that need help, I got you. I'll tell you what that looks like in a second. Okay. So with that said, start with what you have. See, many of you place little value on what's already in you because for many of you, your gift is effortless for you. So you say things like, "Oh, can't everybody do this?" Yeah, but nobody does it like you. Number one. Number two, there are things that you do that are in your blind spot. So since we talked about asking for directions, we're driving in a car. They tell you to look in the rearview mirror right before you get over, but then they tell you to look all the way in the blind spot because there could be a whole car that you can't see in the rearview mirror. And many of you, you're are placing little value on your gift because there's areas that are in your blind spot. This is why you need to get with a coach because a coach can see parts of you that you don't see for yourself. A coach, the goal of a coach is to hold the space, really hold a mirror so that you can see what you've never seen and do what you've never done to be who you've never been. And so I want you to get that she placed little value on what she already have. And all God ever asks you to do is invest in what you already have. I talked to you about this. Was that last week? One of these weeks I talked to you about this and the parable of the talents and the employee that did nothing with what he was given. All God has asked you to do is do with what you already have. But you can't do with what you already have with knowing what you already know because you've done that already. He's not asking you for that. That's why you need to find the support to grow it. Y'all get that? Listen, if we had everything we needed, we would never have to matriculate through elementary school and through high school. For many of us, we never had to matriculate through college. I know for me, when I decided to do this thing, I didn't know what a coach was. So I went back and got a master's degree in social work because that's what I thought I was doing. I thought I was a counselor. Little did I know my expertise is program development. But I didn't find that out until I was activating and learning and growing. I would have never found that out. I would have still thought I was a counselor. Hey, LaShante, right? I want you guys to understand that. Okay. So start with what you have as the first S. The second S is stop listening to what everyone else has to say. So here's where he says to her, okay, so first he says, "Tell me what you have in the house." And she said, "I have nothing but a jar of oil." So listen, she says nothing but. So you realize that she does have something because she says something after but. Doesn't value what she has. Then he said, "Go borrow vessels from everywhere, from all your neighbors, empty vessels. Do not gather just a few." Don't limit God's ability to bless you, right? Then he says, "And when you have come, shut the door behind you." You know why he says shut the door behind you? Because you don't need to be listening to nobody else. Nobody understands what you're doing. Nobody understands what I'm coaching you to do, is what Elisha's saying to her. You don't need to listen to the naysayers. You don't need to listen to the people that are going to be judging you for gathering empty vessels. Because what happens when you do that is they put a weed in the seed of what's possible for you. So some of y'all need to just stop listening. Some of y'all just need to shut a door. Some of y'all need to stop talking to people that don't get what you're doing. Often I say you're pregnant with it. So if you're pregnant with it, you might be in the first trimester and people can't see it. Ooh, that just made me think of something. That makes me think of when Mary, Jesus's mom, when she was pregnant. And remember, she was a virgin. So all the haters were talking about her. And so she was really staying isolated. And she was getting depressed. Even her fiance was like, had his eyebrow up. If I could put my eyebrow up like The Rock does, even he had his eyebrow up. And so the angel said, "Go see your cousin Elizabeth. Go see your cousin Elizabeth, who can support you with where you are." See, Elizabeth was pregnant in her old age, and she too was staying in the house, probably part because of the haters, but the other part because she was old and she didn't want to miscarry the baby, right? And so you've got to understand, everybody's not going to get it. Everybody's not meant to. You've got to carry this baby, this purpose to full term. It's your responsibility to push it out, nobody else's. So stop looking for people to support your dream. It's not their dream, it's yours. If they don't support it, it's you're in your first trimester. Maybe they can't see it, so they don't get it. Doesn't mean you don't do it. It means you need to shut the door. Stop looking for people that have never done what you're doing to give you advice to do it. You need to shut the door. Some of you guys have been listening to people tell you things to do that you have no business getting advice from. Hello, I need you to shut the door. That doesn't mean you're not still their friend, but you got to be clear on the role they play in your life. You got to be clear for where God is taking you. You need someone that's 10 steps ahead of you that can activate you, that can give you insight, that can coach you. You know, what's interesting is when I first started my business, Q-tip, that's right, Renata. So I'm not going to say what it is, but Q-tip is one of the principles I teach, and a gift you get, perfect segue, thank you, girl, for my 2-day intensive that I'm doing in a couple of weeks called Be the Answer. Those of you that haven't heard about it, I want you to go to the website. I'm going to put up now, right? BeTheAnswerEvent.com. So listen, I'm going to talk about it quickly. 2 days, I have like 5 seats left as of this moment. If you know, like you know, that you're ready to start or grow your purpose focused business, if you've been having this idea, this desire in your heart, this rumble in your belly, I need you in the room. And this is for women only. Sorry, fellas, right? So in 2 days, I coach you. I keep it small, 30 women. I keep it small because I want to really be able to coach you and teach you. And yes, even virtually, I can do that. I can see you, you can see me, I can hear you, you can hear me. So in 2 days, we walk through the 4 areas you need to get clear on to have a multiple 6-figure, multiple revenue generating business. So if that's you and you know you need tools, you know you need a coach, you've been looking for a coach, go to BeTheAnswerEvent.com, read about it, and then register. Register tonight because I know we're going to sell out. Mm-hmm. So what Renata, the Q-tip, is she's referring to, you get a part of the package, you get my online program, Big Bold Move. Because listen, I'm not coming for who you already are. I'm coming for who you have not yet become. So Big Bold Move is the goal of it is to stretch you, to start giving you work to activate that. Listen, if we're going, you can't put what's the Bible verse? You can't put new wine in old wineskins. So I need to grow that new wine in you because we got new things to do and conquer. So Big Bold Move does that. And Q-tip is one of the principles I teach you in Big Bold Move. So go listen to Big Bold Move. Go, it's five, it's actually 5 weeks, but you can listen to all 5 in 5 days. You can do it in 5 hours, up to you, right? So with that said, I invite you, BeTheAnswerEvent.com for those of you that are ready. And again, we only have 5 seats left. So with that said, that is our conversation for today. Is GPSS, right? You got to let go of how. You got to get a plan. But bigger than get a plan, you got to get strategy, and you've got to get with a coach that can help you create that plan. Because if you've never done it before, how the heck do you think you're going to create a plan from something you've never done? Come on, somebody, right? Then we start with what you have. We're not going to look past anything that you don't already have in you. So if you ever work with a coach that tries to get you to do something that is not you, I need you to fire that person. I've seen so many of my clients do things. I'm like, girl, you have no business doing that. What is that? I remember I saw a client of mine that is a lawyer. She's a family practice lawyer, right? Vitamin water, by the way, those of you that are like, what is that? and she got with some other coach that, and we had this, set up all this whole programming for her. And she got with some other coach that told her that she should coach entrepreneurs. Why? You're not as a lawyer, you are an entrepreneur, but you don't work in entrepreneurship. So you have no business coaching in that. You only do with what you have. There's something special in you that people are waiting for that just needs to be coached and developed. That's all it needs. And there are people that are waiting for it. So listen, if you go and read the rest of the story to the happy ending, right? So she went from him and shut the door behind her and her sons. This is verse 5, by the way, who brought the vessels to her and she poured it out. Now it came to pass when the vessels were full that she said to her son, bring me another one. So in other words, they bring one vessel, she poured it. And mind you, she only had a little oil. And the oil just kept pouring, but she only had a little bit, right? So that's what she thought. Again, she was undervaluing what she already had. Bring me another vessel. And he said to her, there is not another vessel. So the oil ceased. So when she had gathered as many as she can, because remember, he said to her, do not gather just a few. In other words, gather a whole bunch, girl, right? Because he could see the possibility. He could see what she could do. He could see what was available to her. All she had to do was activate what he told her to do. That's what a good coach does. They're going to give you action steps to take based on what they see in you, right? And then she came and told the man of God, which is Elisha, and he said, go sell the oil and pay your debt, and you and your sons live on the rest. So, in other words, she had more than enough to pay off her debt because he said, you and your sons live on the rest, which means she had enough for a lifetime. See, there's something so special in you that literally God placed in you. That's one of my favorite Bible verses is John 10:10, the second part that says, I've come that you have life and have it more abundantly. God put something so special in you that is your key to your abundantly above all. You just got to be willing to activate it. So that's our conversation for today. Quick tools and tips. What I want to always ask you to do is two things. Number one, I want you to share. I want you to share with other women. Number two, I want you to always share the value you got out of today's conversation. Now, at the end of every episode, that I share with you that I have a actual journal for you because it's not just about listening, it's about doing the work. So ask for directions. Here's our weekly reflection for the week. So I always put this in my Facebook group. So if you're not a member, go to thebrilliancetribe.com and join my Facebook group. Now, in the Women of Brilliance Tribe, in order for you to become a member, you've got to answer the questions. So number one, make sure you answer the questions or my team won't admit you. And we do that because guess what? From the questions you answer, I actually do trainings on stuff you're challenged by. Hello. So you answer the questions actually bless you. So I do a monthly Q&A session in that group. I do ongoing trainings in that group. So thebrilliancetribe.com is where you go. So listen, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, go back and watch them. Again, you can watch them in nrjnetwork.com. And then all the journal reflection sheets are all in the Brilliance Tribe. And why do I do that? Because I want to honor the women that are willing to play full out. I want to honor the women that are fully in action. And so I do that by placing the handouts in my Facebook group because I know that woman is serious because she's going over and above to get it. So, with that said, I'll be here with you next Monday for another episode of Amplify Your Brilliance. I'm always excited to be here with you, pouring into you. And again, those of you that know, now is your time. BeTheAnswerEvent.com is where you go to grab your seat and listen. So many of you that are here have already registered. Proud of you for that. Proud of you. And I'm excited that I get to coach you. And listen, not even just excited. I'm humbled and honored because I don't take your yes lightly. Know that I'm coming empty and I'm praying. I mean, you come empty. I'm coming full. Because I've been praying for you. I've been studying for you. And so those of you that are already coming, if you know a sister friend that needs to be in the room, share BeTheAnswerEvent.com and tell a girl, you need to be here with me. Here's the thing. It's nothing like having an accountability partner with you. It's nothing like having someone that can share with you, right? So here's what I noticed. My takeaway is the first S. Start with what I have and stop undervaluing what God has deposited inside of me to bless others, including myself. I want to move forward forever and backwards never. Listen, she wrote so much good stuff. It backwards never, and it went away. That's so good. Girl, it cut you off because it was good, right? Backwards never works, right? Listen, it's like driving in a car. If you're driving in a car, right, and you're looking in your rearview mirror, you'll crash. So when you're looking backwards while you're driving forward, you will crash. So it's not about yesterday. It's about moving into to your tomorrow. So thank you, Ronaldo, for that. I'm proud of you. I'm excited to be able to coach you and teach you. So with that said, y'all, that's it for today for this episode of Amplify Your Brains Mondays. So again, if I have blessed you in any way, please share, right? Are you doing it again in the spring? No, I'm not. No. And listen, why would you want to wait till the spring, Nona? Why would you want to wait when you can come now? One of the things I've learned is it's never going to be comfortable. When God puts something inside you, it's never going to be comfortable. So no, I don't do this again in the spring. Nope. So with that said, it's been my honor and my privilege to serve you all. I will be here with you again next Monday for another Amplify Your Brains Mondays, right? So again, what I was asking you, and then I got distracted because you guys know when you comment, I want to know because I'm here for you and I want to hear where you're growing and learning and how you're going to move your gift forward because God is waiting for you. Waiting for you. So with that said, will you share this? And number two, also share, as in there's a share button down here, those of you that are live on Facebook. And also share in the comments of value that you got. So with that said, have a phenomenal rest of your Monday, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Amplify Your Brilliance Monday. Bye, y'all.